let's talk about the Super Bowl. Let's talk about these teams because we broke it down into the team rosters and we looked at every position. So we'll just go through it really quickly and we'll start with the number one position, which is a QB. Ron, who do you think has the advantage here?
Yeah, this one's easy. Mahomes is the better quarterback. He's probably is the best quarterback in the league. I think it's a big gap too between him and Purdy. And there's a lot of debate how good Purdy is. Is he a game manager or is he a good quarterback? I don't know where he fits. To me, he's somewhere average. But there's no question that Mahomes is the better quarterback and they have an obvious advantage there.
Yeah, I agree. I think when you look at Pat Mahomes, he has the experience. He may not have the wide receivers like San Francisco, but the fact that he has Travis Kelce, he has Andy Reid backing him up, yeah, he's definitely has an advantage. Wide receivers, Ron, who do you think has the advantage?
Yeah, this one is a clear advantage here too, but this one is for San Francisco. Kansas City has had issues with their receivers all year. Now, it wasn't until recently that Rashee Rice has kind of turned out to be someone. But before then, it's been a struggle for them to find a receiver that they can trust. Now, I heard Sky Moore just got came off the injured reserve list, so maybe there's a chance he'll play. I don't know. But, San Francisco by far has a better receiving with Ayuk and Samuel.
Again, I agree because Ayuk, Samuels, then, you can throw Kittles in there. Then you can throw McCaffrey in there because he's just a back that can catch the ball out of the field. So, Purdy has a lot of options. Mahomes doesn't have as many options, at least not that we've seen, but I'm sure he'll find a way. Running backs, Ron, who has the advantage here?
Yeah, as far as depth, I can maybe say Kansas City, but in terms of talent, like quality, it's for sure San Francisco. McCaffrey is the best back, probably the best player. We'll find out if he wins MVP. Best player in the entire league. So, yeah, McCaffrey by far. San Francisco has an advantage there.
Again, this is a layout because he was in the MVP conversations. I know Lamar, as we record this, they're announcing it, but it's going to be Lamar winning the MVP. But that doesn't mean McCaffrey, if McCaffrey's had MVP-like season, obviously I expect, and we'll talk about predictions, I expect McCaffrey to get the ball a lot. And I mean a lot. Ron, tight ends, who you got?
I went even across the board. I think both of these guys are good. I think Kelce's probably slightly better than Kittle, but Kittle is a very, very talented, probably the second best tight end in the league. And it's, I don't think we can forget prior to the playoffs, Kelce had a down year for Kelce standards, right? It wasn't until he got into the playoffs he started to kind of explode again. So I think this is like both evenly matched teams in terms of like what the tight ends do. San Francisco actually probably uses the tight ends more than Kansas City does. So to me, I think it's even.
I want to say it's even, but I'm just going to give it to Travis Kelce because even though Kittles is probably the better blocking tight end, I just feel like if you need a playmaker, you're going to go to Kelce, right? I don't know if Kittle has, eventually he will, but I don't know that he has the know-how, the IQ to get the separation from the
for sure.
back. I want to see that because I feel like he has that against linebackers. I want to see it against D-backs. And I think that, when you talk about Kansas City, they were up there ranked in defense for receiving. So I want to see Kittle shine, but Kansas City has a really, really good defensive backup. So I think Kelce is going to take it as far as tight ends is concerned. Ron, offensive line, who you giving to?
I would have said San Francisco. I think they had some injuries, so I had this even. I think there's some question marks for both these teams in terms of the offensive line. San Francisco, like I said, I think there's some injuries there. For Kansas City, what's his name? Their tackle, the right tackle, has been like one of the worst right tackles in terms of penalties, at least all season, right? Jawan Taylor, he's been atrocious. So there's some question marks to me along the offensive line for both teams. So I got them rated.
I went with Kansas City, and only because there's a glaring stat when I looked at the postseason, just the postseason alone, that they don't give up a lot of sacks for Patrick Mahomes. Now, I know that has to do with how good Patrick Mahomes is good at, like, elusive. He makes people miss, but I like the fact that your quarterback is not getting hit when he's going back to pass. When it comes to running the ball, yes, I think San Francisco has an advantage, but again, I don't know if this game is going to be so close that it's going to be up to who can protect the other quarterback more. And I think Kansas City can do that. Let's switch over to the defense. Ron, who do you have as better linebacker?
Hands down in San Francisco. I don't think it's even a question. San Francisco have the probably best linebacking crew in the league. Baltimore's probably right up there with them as well. But I got to give San Francisco with Fred Warner. I think that dude.
Yeah, I think San Francisco has the better linebackers. Warner, Highsmith. I feel like they're out to prove that Pacheco cannot run on them. So I want to see. I'm gonna expect Kansas City to do a lot of like switcheroos and a lot of like reverses and a lot of stuff, because if they're just gonna run the ball, they're gonna run into the good linebackers. So I like San Francisco linebackers. Ron, who do you have the advantage for cornerbacks?
I gave that to San Francisco. I'm a big fan of their defensive backs, especially Javarius Ward. I think that dude is the real deal. Now, I know he's been up and down a little bit the last couple of weeks, but I just think, as far as their defensive backs, cornerback included, I think they have a slight advantage in the matchup.
I gave the defensive backs, I gave it to Kansas City because they were ranked the number 2 defense overall behind the Ravens. And it wasn't because of their running ability. You can run in Kansas City. You can run on them. It was the defensive backs. They were McDuffie. I think he's a Pro Bowler. I don't know. Oh, you know what? Let me just stop here because something just came in my mind. When I was at the Pro Bowl, I don't know why this happened. There was a very inebriated cowboy. Very inebriated. And he came up to me and he was like, "Hey, I don't see Dak." And I was like, "I don't know what to tell you, man. He didn't show up. But his name is on the roster. I don't see him." And I was like, "He's just not here." And he was with his boys, and I think they were like Houston Texans fans. And his boys would call him like, "Hey, Dak is not here. Dak is not here." Finally, really loud, I was like, he must have thought today was a playoff game, so he didn't show up. And boy,
did he start swinging at you or something?
He left. He was so embarrassed that he left because basically it's true. Like, sorry, he doesn't show up in the playoffs. So, anyways, that was
that's hilarious.
Yes, Cowboys fans, what I was saying, Ron, is they have a better secondary. So I'm gonna go with Kansas City with that. Safeties, Ron, what do you got?
Yeah, I got them even here. I think, both teams have decent safeties. I think they have different styles and how they play. But I see this as a pretty even matchup.
Yeah, I think the safeties, I give it to Kansas City. I know that they took care of Lamar. They took care of Josh Allen. I trust him. I trust him. Who do you have for a D line?
I got this even too. I think San Francisco on paper, they have a great defensive line, right? But like Chase Young isn't the Chase Young I think we expected him to be. And then Nick Bosa, he's been great, right? I don't want to say anything anything negative about him, but I look at the other side, and I think Kansas City, if you look at not just Chris Jones, but what George Karlaftis, I think that's how you pronounce his last name, what they've been able to do along their D front too. I think these teams along the D line are both pretty impressive.
Yeah, I like Chris Jones. But I like San Francisco D line better. I know Chase Young has been kind of a disappointment. I even saw somebody tweeted that he's taking plays off.
Oh yeah.
So I was just like, wow, somebody's watching every play. Nick Bosa, I don't know if he's injured or not, but I just feel like he can play better. He can elevate better. And we'll talk about, Steve Wilks. When Robert Saleh was there, I think he had the defensive line on point. I can't say the same for Steve Wilks. I want him to succeed so bad, but I don't know. He can't get them to dominate. I mean, they're good, don't get me wrong, but I want them to dominate. Ron, what do you have for special teams? What do you like for the kickers?
Yeah, that's easy. Kansas City has the better kicker. I think San Francisco is looking to even get rid of their kicker.
I mean,
several
he missed
times
last week.
So it's Kansas City has an advantage there for sure.
Yeah, Kansas City for sure. Returners, who do you got?
I got this even. I think both returners are pretty decent. I think they average about the same in terms of return, 11.1, 11.2. I think they're pretty equal there.
Yeah, this could be a toss-up. I mean, I have Kansas City, but this could be a toss-up. Coaches, who do you have?
Yeah, talked a little bit, I think, before we record. I think both these coaches are great coaches. Andy Reid has already sort of supplanted his name in the Hall of Fame, but I think Shanahan has been working his way there. He just has to cross over that hump. I mean, I got these both coaches at both being even.
I'm going to give the edge to Kansas City only because I remember when we did this last year and we were talking about coaches, and I was like, Kansas City coaches have the experience, man. This is a Super Bowl, extra long halftime. Anything can happen now. I know Kyle Shanahan has been there before, but I feel like Andy Reid has the advantage. Spagnuolo with the defense has the advantage. I just like Kansas City more when it comes to the coaches.
I think experience is important. It's important to coaches to have that for sure. It's more important for players to have that. And that's where I think there's an advantage to one side of the team. And I think we'll get into our predictions in a minute. But Kyle Shanahan is a good coach. I think if you were to throw Mahomes and his team, be talking about San Francisco, how good they are and how much of a dynasty they have. It is what it is. I think these are both really good coaches. Reid has been in a better situation. It's not trying to take anything away from him. He just happens to have the greatest player, on the planet.
Active. Active. Greatest player active. Let's not go there. Fans run. I mean, who shows up to the Super Bowl? It's mostly like corporations that give the tickets out.
Have you seen the ticket prices? I think it was like $7,000 to $8,000 the cheapest tickets or some crap like that. It's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. And you see, if you want to have a private suite, you better buckle up $2.5 million. That's how much it's going to cost for you to have a suite during the Super Bowl. So, I mean, who has this money? And something that I saw last year, Ron, was like the Super Bowl is like the biggest, busiest private jet. It was like all the celebrities, whether you're a musician, whether you're an actor, whether you're political, you just take a private jet to wherever the Super Bowl is. Wow. I'm just like
Different
okay,
lifestyle.
different lifestyle. Yeah, that's it.